Hello, and welcome to Spokane County Spotlight. I'm Commissioner Josh Kerns, and my guest today is Mark Mattke, Chief Executive Officer for the Spokane Area Workforce Development Council. Mark, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, very glad to be here.
Absolutely. Mark, to start things off, could you give us, give our audience a little bit of background about yourself?
Sure, yeah, thanks again for the opportunity to be here. I appreciate the chance to talk about the work we're engaged in Spokane to help improve our regional economy. So I'm the CEO of the Spokane Area Workforce Development Council. I've been in this job for about the past 12 years. I originally moved here back in 2004 from the I-5 corridor after working in Seattle for a number of years, and started my career there with a startup company and gradually got into workforce development and post-secondary education, and for the last 20 years I've been engaged in work in this sector.
All right. Well, we're glad to have you as a part of our community. Could you give us a little bit of background about how you have a dual role with both the Area Workforce Development Council, but also with the community colleges of Spokane?
Sure, yeah, so as CEO of the Spokane Area Workforce Development Council, I'm responsible for overseeing the local workforce system. We operate the Worksource Center downtown and Next Generation Zone, as well as oversee connection sites throughout our community where folks can go in and get services and access career development resources. And we help to fund that system, we help to develop the design of it and lay out the policies for it, and also to bring resources in to help people access financial aid so they can get training, and then also work with businesses so they can access the talent they need to grow their business. On the college side of the house, I directly oversee customized training for business and continuing education for folks to come in and get better skills so they can advance in their careers, and then also general community education. Then I work with programs that are for credit. So we have certificate programs and associate degree programs at the community colleges that are helping folks to get skilled up so they can go to work in the regional economy. And I help to inform and guide and develop programs on that side of the house as well.
Okay. So you mentioned some services and workforce training that the Area Workforce Development Council offers. What are some of those specific services that an individual can seek?
Right, so if a person's looking for a job, either a better job or if they've been laid off from their job, they can go into one of our centers throughout the area and access information about careers that are available in the area, jobs that are in demand, what they pay, how to get the education they need in order to join those different careers and such. So that's a big critical component of our work, is making sure folks have access to services such as that, and then resources. We also serve young people. And so young people who need to find out, well, what are the careers of the future? Where do they want to go when they finish high school? Or if they drop out of high school, how can they get the education they need to finish that and go on to post-secondary ed and get a good career? So a lot of our work is focused around delivering those types of career services for individuals so they have access to what they need to get ahead and to be successful.
All right. It sounds like an amazing resource for folks in our community. Can you explain what would be someone's experience if they come into the WorkSource or they approach the Workforce Development Council looking for employment?
Sure. If they were to go into the Worksource Center or into the Next Generation Zone, if they're a young person, someone would meet with them, would assess where they are in terms of their career development strategy and plan, figure out what kind of skills they currently have, what their interests might be, what they want to do in the future. Do they want to stay in the same career or go into a different career? Are they just starting out and it's their first job ever and perhaps they want to learn more about what the world of work is all about? And we have career specialists down there, professionals. That's all they do, is help people figure out what they can become, what the access is like in order to become, whether it's a nurse or a welder or a machinist or a non-invasive cardio technician, how to access that type of training, and then we help them to reach their goals.
All right, that's amazing. That's wonderful. You mentioned the Next Gen Zone, Next Generation Zone. Could you elaborate a little more on that?
Sure. It's specifically designed to serve youth ages 16 to 24. And so we put together a consortium of partners located just east of downtown Spokane, and they're located there to help young people come in to figure out what their path might look like. So if a young person is disconnected from secondary education, they've dropped out of high school, we can help them get their GED or high school equivalent, and then go on to get a career and or go to college if the case warrants it. They can also access information there about what careers are available anywhere throughout the area. It's more of a regional footprint that we have, so we help youth connect to careers anywhere across all of Eastern Washington. We have a variety of partners that are located there. We've got Job Corps and Youth Build. Career Path Services is one of our primary partners, as is Goodwill, as is Northeast Washington Educational Service District 101. So it's a variety of partners that come together and bring their resources there so that young people can access a broad array of things as they make their way into their future.
Wow, that's amazing. It's something we continue to hear about, just how important it is to have that high school diploma or that GED. I mean, it really gets you started in life, and so I know you're setting your partners and these young folks up for the rest of their lives. I mean, it's amazing work that you really are doing.
We are. It does start with that. If young people have a failure to launch, if you will, if they start out and they drop out of high school for a variety of reasons and such and don't get that high school credential, it's very hard for them to be successful in the future and to access a good job later on. So we start with that and then move them on into, okay, what career are you seeking? What interests you? What's your passion? What's driving you and such, and help connect them to training that can lead into that realm. So it's a very important time for young people, between the ages of 16 and 24. If you are milling about, not having a productive, life at that point in time, it can have consequences for quite some time to come. So it's very important to help them get on their feet, figure out a path, and then get them going in that direction.
All right. Yeah, you're certainly having a ripple effect in these kids' future, for sure.
Right. We also experience quite a bit of youth unemployment. And so one of the things in the wake of the recession, that occurred, of course, back in 2008 through 10 or so, is a lot more young people are unemployed. And back in the day when I was younger, quite a number of years ago, more youth were working. You had a part-time job, you had an after-school job and such, and we've seen a reduction in the number of jobs available for young people, and so it's become more difficult for them to acquire those real-world skills, to learn about the world of work, to learn about what it's like to be on time, to show up, to respond to your supervisor, to get the job done, all those work ethic skills and such, and so that's also a detriment to them. So it's important for us to help young people get those jobs while they're still young so they can figure those pieces out and have both the opportunity to learn work ethic and also do some exploration of careers that are out there, to learn what you might not want to do, which can be as important as learning what you do want to do.
Absolutely. We continue to hear that the national economy it's surging. We're seeing tremendous growth. Can you give us an idea more locally what we're seeing as far as the economy?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of growth in the Spokane area as well. We're very fortunate. The last few years we've seen year-over-year job growth. In the most recent year, last in 2017, about 6,000 new jobs created across our area in Spokane County to start, and then broader. And so we're seeing growth. And Spokane is fortunate too. We have a diverse mix of industries. So healthcare is a primary driver, as I'm sure everyone knows, and about 20% of the jobs in our area are focused upon healthcare, but then also finance and insurance and manufacturing and transportation and warehousing and professional scientific technical services are also strong drivers of the economy. So that diversity affords us the ability for folks to have a wide array of different career options. And all those different sectors that I just mentioned offer good career pathways with good living wage jobs for individuals. So if they choose to enter those, they've got the opportunity for lifelong employment. So currently we are seeing growth in those areas, and of course the university district is driving some of that growth. We have many educational institutions across the area with 4 universities and a very robust community college system here as well. So folks can get the education they need to be successful in these different industries if they want to access it here at home. And then we of course want to retain that talent in Spokane. We don't want to have that brain drain effect where folks get skilled up and then leave for some other place. We can keep them right here at home. So we're lucky too in that we're somewhat of a hub. We're a metro area, we're the largest city between Seattle and Minneapolis on the Great Plains, the northern Great Plains, and so a lot of jobs come to Spokane because we are that metro hub. As far as geography affords us the benefits of being at the crossroads for a lot of different industries. So folks come here for health services, transportation, warehousing. We have an international airport, and we're at the nexus of different highways. We have rail, et cetera. So a lot of the jobs that are dependent upon in our economy are because of where we're located. So we're fortunate that that's the case. And we're seeing in-migration from other regions. So workers are coming into Spokane seeking opportunities, and a lot of those workers are aged 20 to 30. So we're fortunate that we're getting a younger cadre of individuals coming into Spokane. The downside of that is that they're leaving rural areas. We're seeing rural areas across eastern Washington and across western Montana and eastern Oregon, folks coming out of the rural areas to the city to go to work, and so that's having a negative effect upon the economies in rural areas. So we are trying to balance that out as part of our strategies, figure out what rural areas need for skill development, for workforce, so we can help them as well as building our own Spokane economy.
Okay, you touched on the rural economies and how there is sort of a detriment there, or sort of a negative with folks coming here, but are there any other types of difficulties that our local economy could be facing? Are we diversified enough in our local economy, or are there any other issues that could be out there?
Yeah, one of the things that we're facing now is an aging workforce.
Okay.
And so replacement demand is increasing across our different industries. So they're strong and they're growing, but a lot of workers are leaving. The Great Recession caused a lot of folks to delay their retirement as 401ks, bottomed out and such. And now that wealth is kind of built back into the stock market, and 401ks and other retirement accounts have grown back to where they were, folks are now able to step away from their jobs. That's a good thing. They've worked their lives, and it's time for them to take a step back, but it leaves a gap. And we've got to figure out how to fill that gap and do a much better job of succession planning with businesses to figure out how to replace those experienced workers that have years of wisdom that they're taking with them as they walk away. And the younger generation isn't ready to step into that without some level of training or some level of imparting what their experience is before they walk out the door. So we're working on strategies such as that to ensure that we have the workforce to go into those middle and senior level positions as those folks start to leave.
Okay. So we've discussed the strengths of our local economy. We've discussed the threats. What does this mean for the average job seeker in our economy?
Well, for the average job seeker, there's a lot of opportunity. So that's the good news, is that if you do indeed want a good job in Spokane, they are available, and there's a lot of vacancies across the board right now in all these industries. So if you want to get skilled up and go to work, you can. The challenge is navigating the myriad opportunities that are out there and knowing what they are, as well as then accessing the training that you need in order to be successful in that. So if you're working in a part-time job, or if you're currently underemployed, perhaps not working up to your potential, it can be challenging to balance the going to school, trying to get education at the same time as you're working, and need to feed your family and balance all your family and life issues with your education. So that's one of the struggles that we have, is making sure folks have access that they need so they can go to educational programs, get the skills they need, and be successful in the future.
Okay. Now, the Workforce Development Council also sponsors different job fairs throughout the year. Could you explain some of the successes that you've seen from your job fairs?
Yeah, it's interesting that in this era of electronic communication, everyone applies online, everyone has a website, all businesses do, and you've got to be adept at using that mode in order to apply for things. Yet the face-to-face connection is still valued by businesses, and so we have a number of job fairs that we sponsor over the course of the year. We have a big one that we offer generally in the spring and May or so. Wherein lots of we had 111 employers last year in May, and over 1,500 job seekers attend that. Wow. And they go there, they bring their resumes, the job seekers do, they make that connection, they talk to a business right across the table, they're able to pitch what their skills are, to demonstrate that they're a good fit for the job, and oftentimes can get hired right there on the spot or soon after. We also offer a job fair in the fall for individuals with disabilities. So a lot of folks in our community have some level of disability and such, and are able to contribute to the workforce, and so we are able to make that connection. Last October, we had more than 650 job seekers come to that job fair, and more than, I believe, 60 employers attended as well, and so lots of opportunities there. And then the third job fair that we offer is one designated for youth, and that's in the spring as well, and that's a chance for young people to access employment, to talk to employers about what they're looking for and such, and get jobs either for the summer or part-time or even full-time jobs. So this is still something that we sponsor and conduct, and thank you for the partnership with the county. We also partner with the city of Spokane, and KHQ is a big sponsor of that. JP Morgan Chase Foundation helps to fund it. So a lot of partners come together around that to make that successful, and we'll continue to do that. Employers are in need of people. And if we can create many opportunities for them in order so they can make that connection, then it benefits everyone.
All right, that's wonderful. I remember, so last year I stopped by two of the job fairs that you had put on, and just for an opportunity to say hello to some of the job seekers as well as the employers that were there. And overwhelmingly, every employer I talked to said, this is one of the best job fairs we've had. They said that there were actually people there showing up that were serious about finding a job. They had their resumes. They were finding fantastic candidates. And they had said at other job fairs they've been at, that's not always the case. So they overwhelmingly said the one that was down at the convention center was the best one that they had been to in a long time. So I think that definitely shows the fine work that you're doing. It's real jobs, real job seekers, real opportunity, and essentially what we're getting out of that is we're getting real growth. We're getting a real push to our economy when you put on events like that. So right. I think our community definitely owes a great deal of thanks to you for that
There's
and the
real
work
ROI.
that
Thank
you're
you.
doing.
I really appreciate that. There's a good ROI for that, and we do prep people to go into that. And so it's not as if folks just show up at on any given day and they're ready to present their best foot forward. And so we work with the job seekers to ensure they know how they need to look, how they need to dress and present themselves, what they need to say. We work with them on their resumes and such, because you do have to have these tools of the trade in order to present a strong, solid candidacy for a position and such. And that's an important piece of this. And that's what we do, is help educate job seekers about what the world of work is like, what the marketplace is like, what you need to do in order to be successful. And of course, skills matter. And technical skills matter. You can't be an RN without, being an RN. But you've also got to have good interpersonal skills. And that component of being able to let employers know that you're capable of, working on a team and problem solving and interfacing with others in a manner that's productive, and that you're dependable. And so all these elements that are, core to someone being successful in the workplace, they've got to know what those are. They've got to adapt those to themselves, and then present those to an employer. And that makes that match happen much more successfully than just a piece of paper or an electronic resume being submitted. You've got to, be there in person and make the case for yourself.
Okay, so does your organization also help then with resume building, interview prep? So those are all part of the package
We
that
do,
you
yeah.
offer?
And if you were to come into the Workforce Center, Next Generation Zone, those are part of the workshops and sessions that we offer there, is to help people understand, what the resume needs to look like nowadays, how to apply online, how to present yourself in an interview, how to respond to the questions that are out there and such. And that's a big piece of it. Is folks, oftentimes, if you get laid off from your job, you've been working for 20 years. You haven't been out there looking for work for quite some time, and you actually need to be educated as to what the state of the art is around that and such. Or maybe the last job you got was through a referral from a friend. You didn't have to go through a lengthy process. Well, now you might have to sit in front of a panel interview and answer questions from 5 different people, and that can be very daunting for folks. And so helping them understand what the realities are and then prepare for that gives them the confidence to be successful. And that's for young people as well. If you're a 17 or 18-year-old just starting out, you haven't had this experience before. And so you've got to learn what the ins and outs of the job search process are and the interview process, so you can be successful. None of this is just organic knowledge that you automatically know. And chances are, if you haven't had a job yet in high school or when you were younger and such, then you didn't have this experience. So now is the time for us to impart that for you.
All right. Well, I can remember with my first job how daunting it was going in for that first job interview with the application in hand. I mean, it was a scary thing the very first time. And I could certainly see if it's someone who's had a job for, like you said, 20 years and then all of a sudden find themselves out of work. A lot can change in 20 years in any industry. I mean, so that's a service that you're offering that definitely is going to help those folks, continue on in their career and whatever that next path is.
Right. And we're also helping folks change careers. And so it might be different in one sector versus another. So what the norms are and the mores for applying for a job and such can be different, if you're going from healthcare into IT. Or, so you've got to learn that as well. What is the unique nuances of a certain sector so you can be successful within that sector? Know what the culture is. Know what the lingo and the way people talk in that industry and such. And so we help with that as well. We've got experts that work with every different industry in our area. We've got experts in healthcare and experts in manufacturing, experts in transportation and such. So they know what the needs are of those individual businesses. A big part of our work is working with those businesses to figure out what their needs are, what skills are in demand, and also what they're seeking in the future, so we can prepare the workforce down the line to get ready to go in those positions. And we bring that business intelligence, that workforce intelligence back to our system and help inform everybody so they know, as they prepare job seekers, here's what's happening out there in the world, here's what businesses are seeking, here's what the need is, and here's how you can be the match that they're going to be, the next hire.
And as far as those different industries and different jobs, as you've said, you're not just focused on one sector. I mean, it's a variety of sectors and industries that you work with.
Right. And we do focus primarily upon the ones that offer the most return on investment for us. And so we mentioned, healthcare and manufacturing and information technology and finance and insurance. So jobs that pay well, that offer benefit packages, that offer career advancement opportunities and such. And so that's where we make our primary investments. If we're going to fund someone's education, we want to be sure that at the end of that, when they get their credential, it's going to lead to a good paying job at the end of the day. And so a lot of it is focused upon that. And then we also serve other businesses as well, but our primary investments are in those sectors that really help to pay the bills and offer long-term career growth, looking into the future where Spokane's economy is heading.
Okay. You touched on earlier about the partnership with the local community colleges. What are some of the key services that the community colleges offer as far as workforce development?
The colleges are always looking to develop programs that respond to the regional economic needs. So colleges, whether it's the 4-credit programs that offer certificates or longer, 2-year degrees, or it's non-credit instruction. We're always trying to figure out what is the need out there so we can prepare students so once they finish our programs and get our credential, they can go out there and go to work. And there's scores and scores of programs at both Spokane Community College and Spokane Falls Community College that serve that need. And then within the non-credit division of the college, we work directly with individuals to help them get certain job skills that are going to help them advance in their career. So we do a lot of work to figure out where the economy is going. We rely upon a lot of economic data to help drive program decision making, and then also anecdotal information. The colleges have advisory committees comprised of businesses that come in and help to advise curriculum development. So it's not being done in a vacuum, but rather it's done with the advice and consent of businesses that actually hire the graduates of the program. So it's a great feedback loop to get information. So what they're doing is always charting a course that leads to what businesses have in demand.
All right. You talked about that data and looking long term. Long term, what do you see for our economy here locally?
That's the $1,000,000 question, of course, always. We're not sure if Amazon's in our future, but absent that, I think as I said earlier, the geographic, factor, is an important one, that we're the center. We're a hub for health services. We're a hub for transportation and warehousing. We're a hub for many different industries located here because we are a major metro area surrounded by a vast rural area. So I think that healthcare, as the population continues to age, will be there, and it's only going to grow as the population, as the boomers continue to need more healthcare type services and whatnot. Manufacturing, we're very strong in aerospace, and of course working actively to build that and to build a more preeminence in the Boeing supply chain, as well as other aircraft OEMs or original manufacturers that are out there and such. Finance and insurance, you've got a lot of banks located here, and a lot of consolidations occurred over the past few years, but that continues to be a strong suit for us, as well as insurance. Transportation is building. IT is up and coming. There's more and more information technology as folks locate in Spokane. What we're finding is companies are locating in Spokane, locating a satellite office sometimes, because if they're located in Seattle, for instance, they can't get around. There's challenges in transportation, there's challenges in congestion and such, and so we're seeing companies locating in Spokane because we have a good bandwidth for information exchange across the internet and whatnot, and so they can be located here as readily as they can in a metro area where they have other factors, cost of living, transportation, things like that are barriers to their success. So we're really trying to grow those sectors of the economy that are somewhat nascent and are up and coming, and that's one of them that's very important to us. I think the University District offers another unique opportunity that's only going to grow over the course of time and have a several $billion impact over the course of time. And as those ancillary businesses around the University District grow, whether it's labs based on new technology, or we have some tech transfer commercialization occurring as ideas come out of the different universities that are then working with the University District and entities there. We're going to see growth around those lab technicians and other folks that are going to be working on different products and services being developed around that. So the goal is to look into the horizon and see how these things are, where they're going to grow, what the impacts of these will be, what impacts of technology will be, even on healthcare, on delivery of telemedicine and telehealth and such. What does that look like? What does electronic medical records look like in the future? So we're really trying to figure out where those skills are going and prepare the workforce. And the critical component for that is the agility of the workforce to continue to learn over the course of time. Back when I started out my career, they'd say you'd have 5 or 6 careers over your lifetime, and now it's 12, 16, 18 careers, and so people have to be able to change as they go over the course of time and continue to learn over the course of time. The promise of a 30-year career and a gold watch at the end is something of the last century, and so workers need to be much more adept at learning and changing and being agile.
Okay. Well, in our last few minutes here, is there anything you'd like to share with our audience at home that we weren't able to touch on?
Well, there's just so much opportunity out there that if you do indeed want to look for a job or a better job, or have questions about what's happening out there in the economy, where should I be studying and attaining a degree or credential, we've got that information available. All of our services are free. And so folks can come into any of our portals. They can go online to our website, wdcspokane.com, and look for resources there, and then get directed to different partners that we have across the community. But we have a wealth of information. There's a ton of opportunity. And really, we need everyone across the Spokane area to be plugging into the economy in a meaningful way, whether you're a young person coming up or whether you're an older worker or a middle-aged worker. We need to be doing something that contributes to the general economy. So please seek us out. Get some help, get some resources. We're happy to plug you in, and we'd love to, to be a resource for you.
All right. All right. Well, I'm afraid that we're out of time for today. I'd like to remind our audience that a video of today's Spotlight can be accessed on our Spokane County homepage and on our Spokane County YouTube channel. I'd like to thank my guest, Mark Mattke, Chief Executive Officer for the Spokane Area Workforce Development Council, for joining us today. I'm County Commissioner Josh Kerns, and thank you for joining us on Spokane County Spotlight.